You are listening to the Cattle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your charmingly quirky host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco,
who is neither charming nor quirky, and that's why we torture him with the engineering joke of the week. Ready for this one, Rocco?
I'm ready.
All right. Why did the engineer stop dating his calculator?
Why?
He just felt he couldn't count on it anymore. Painful. All right, folks. As we promised a few episodes back, Ramesh Sridharan, the Director of Reality Solutions for ABI at Autodesk, is back on the show with us today to talk about ReCap Pro 2026 and all the cool new stuff that he has added to it. So, Ramesh, thank you for being here again for like the fifth time to record this session.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Just so you all know, Ramesh has been incredibly patient. We just had a series of disasters in trying to record this episode and kept rescheduling on him, but he still hung in, and we appreciate it. So, the last time that Ramesh was here, we were talking kind of about the 2026 Autodesk release in general. But today I really want to focus on ReCap Pro because it's one of the fastest growing and most powerful tools in the Autodesk infrastructure suite. And of course, right, because Ramesh is here and he is the genius behind that brilliance. So, Ramesh, let's do the intro thing first, right? So what should everybody know about you and what you do over at Autodesk?
Sure. Genius behind the brilliance, huh? So you really put what I suggested. Thanks, man. Thanks.
You got it,
man. All right. What do I do in Autodesk? Well, some days I feel like attending calls, back-to-back Zoom calls, like a call center on some days. But jokes aside, so in Autodesk, I lead our reality solutions team. So with a strong focus for bringing the physical reality to the digital design, it's just a fancy way of saying we just work hard to make those large point clouds data as easy and simple and intelligent for our customers for design and modeling. Since my background was with the point clouds for the last 20 plus years, I really love working on this, and so is my team. So we're working with the customer to solve some new challenges while solving some age-old problems too.
It's a good mix. All right. So as Ramesh was saying, right, it's been around for a while, and so has ReCap, right? It isn't a new product. It's been around for quite a while. But honestly, part of me feels like it really is a new product because of all the major interface changes and the capabilities and workflows that Ramesh and his team have built into it over the last couple of years. Look, if you're out there listening, if you think you know what ReCap is and what it does, and you're thinking, nah, I don't need that for my work, I really suggest that you guys think again. Reality capture has become a mainstay of the design build world, and it's only going to become more so over the next decade. I mean, ReCap is the leading package in that arena, and we should all be looking very closely at what it can do for our work. So Ramesh, what sets ReCap Pro 2026 apart from previous versions?
Absolutely, Jim. So, like you mentioned, it's not just a recap. Even the point clouds, both are kind of evolving in the last couple of decades. Of course, ReCap was last decade, adding more and more functionalities and capabilities per user. Especially from point clouds perspective, it's transitioning from visualization and feature and extraction to much more meaningful derivatives. Even our customers are using point clouds more innovatively, and so is in ReCap. So we are reinventing ourselves, focusing on the intelligence stored in those point clouds. That's one thing missing in the industry today. That's exactly what ReCap is heading towards. In the past, when I say past, I'm probably 5 years or so before, the ReCap was mostly a visualization, aggregation, data creation, registration tool. which it does all those things today too. But for the last few years, we are just changing the whole dynamics of. I think our podcast listeners know that like a couple of years back, we added this cloud-based visualization. So now your large data, you don't have to FedEx or UPS anymore. Put it in our Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can share in a matter of seconds. Then the last year we addressed about the feature extraction for detailed design, like civil infrastructure design folks can extract feature lines, assets, and all those things. Great thing is everything directly from the cloud. So you don't have to download large points just to do your feature extraction part. So kind of like an evolution towards this year, we addressed the BIM extraction, like a 3D model extraction from the point cloud, because there are projects that needs feature line, there's projects that needs detailed design, but then there are projects need the BIM information aspect of it. That's where ReCap 2026 shines. Here we are focusing on segmented mesh-based workflows for this intelligent extraction to handle many use cases our BIM users need. On top of it, making those modeling, the design verification, clash detection, offset detection, all those things much easier. So that's where 2026 kind of takes to the next level compared to the previous versions.
Nice. And I'm glad you brought up the mesh, right? Because I think the thing that excites me the most in ReCap is the way that it's kind of actively working to integrate the editable and workable meshes into the reality capture process. It's given us a way to work with the scan data directly, right? Instead of, just having, like you were saying earlier, static points and visualization images and maybe extract a line here or there. And it's one of those features that I think moves ReCap to a whole new level of importance, to my thinking. Ramesh, mesh generation, it's been around for a long time, right? But when you explain to folks what makes this new mesh approach in ReCap unique?
Absolutely. So again, this is also part of the evolution, right? When first people used the images, for example, airborne images, when the LiDAR came in, whoa, it's so cool. I can get a 3D directly. Then not just visualization, then people extracting lines and feature lines and all those things. Oh, that's the information I want, like ditches and brake lines, all those things. This is cool. And the meshes, how we are promoting right now, is kind of like a next level. Meshing by itself, it's not new. But what is new is how we are applying intelligence to it. The traditional mesh generation, we used to call it TIN for the airborne LiDAR, then become 3D meshing for all those other type of LiDAR collections. It gives you a solid visual reference, but it wasn't actionable. People were still using many folks as a different way of visualizing those large point cloud data. Some even started calling it a digital twin 5 or 6 years back, just because it looks like a 3D model. But let's face it, it's a mesh. It's a 3D, one of the way of interpreting the point clouds for visualization aspect. So what ReCap, our team did was, we thought about this, why can't we use the mesh as an actionable item? We called it segmented mesh. So basically, instead of giving you one big mesh, in ReCap 2026, when you create a local scan to mesh, it gives you meshes as individual objects. And we are embedding those classification and hierarchy and those information on top of this mesh. So when the customers have used Mesh Editor, for example, Mesh Editor got introduced in ReCap 2026, now you are interacting with the data-rich model as an object. So you can isolate them, measure them, even export to the design tool with semantic information intact, but you're still working with the point cloud, but much more smarter derivative of point cloud data. That's what many of our customers, when I talk to, it's very happy to hear that they call this as a game changer workflow for scan to BIM renovation and facilities management, all those together. If you want to compare this example, I always like a good example. In this case, I would kind of somewhat put it like clicking on iPhone image. The latest one, when you select an image in iPhone, you can choose a person or a background or something. You can isolate one from the other. So indirectly what you're doing is the images, you're not dealing it as a bunch of pixels anymore, like in a traditional way. Now you are looking at it as an object inside those images. Now you can add or remove the objects what you want and use it for your purpose. That's the whole point of you collecting the picture, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want somebody to photobomb you. You can actually remove them now.
Yeah. Unless it's me. I mean, everybody wants me to photobomb them. Just saying.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly similar concept. I'm not saying we are working on photobombing the point clouds, but what I'm trying to say is the point clouds is if you see it as a bunch of points, obviously point clouds. Now you're focusing on the information or the object embedded in it, and ReCap Pro 2026 helps you uncover that and use it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant way to go. I'm really impressed by it. So Rocco, I mean, what do you think? I mean, are our clients looking for better ways like the mesh to use the reality capture data as part of their design, or are they still just all okay with, like we were talking about, the older point, and image info?
No, I think this is big. I mean, I've seen quite a number of customers have interest in this functionality. We had an internal discussion just last week about how big this is. I think back, we've been around and in the Autodesk channel for years now, and I think back to the days when Autodesk came out with the AEC collection, and it was like, what the heck is ReCap, and who's going to use that? Just keep me with Revit and Civil 3D and AutoCAD, and I'm fine. And it's come a long way since then, and we hear more and more folks making use of the additional tools that are in the collection, including ReCap.
Yeah, no, I think it's big too. So, look, I mean, I see the mesh functionality as a bridge between the real world and really just about any design industry, not just the infrastructure space. I think there's just a ton of potential for this becoming the basis for fully integrated designs, right? From the subsurface all the way through the full building, right? Even interior finish designs. So Ramesh, I mean, this all seems closely aligned with the building and architectural workflows. Is this release primarily targeted towards that industry?
Every time I talk about BIM, right, obviously it means building information model. So it definitely psychologically aligns with the buildings aspect or architectural aspect. But the way we see from the reality solutions team is point clouds are point clouds. Like how we don't find a different ways of handling different types of point cloud data. Users can collect any means and they can bring into ReCap Pro. Similarly, when we talk about object detection, isolation of the objects, we see them as a point cloud data. So our fundamental workflows, fundamental tool sets we add really doesn't care which industry the point cloud is. And on top of it, once the user wants to use those 3D objects as a BIM model, it completely open for the customers. You are right. Most of the users, when you talk about 3D mesh or a BIM model, it resonates more with the architecture workflow because that's what they've been doing day in and day out. So some of the tools we added kind of closely towards that, but it's industry agnostic. As a matter of fact, this is one thing I'm working with all our civil infrastructure users is now you guys can use BIM as well. Like how the architectures and the industry facilities, energies and utilities are using it. Now we can create a clean, intelligent digital twin. Like for example, some of the users already using it, by the way, for infrastructure is the good old bridge workflows. Any modeling the bridges, converting that into a Revit model or a parametric model for the 3D bridge modeling. A lot of people started using the segmented mesh workflow. There are a couple of customers using the segmented mesh approach as an asset management, 3D asset management for the transportation, for example, on highways. Yeah. So now I can know it's not just a one point. Traditionally it's like a one point with the attributes. What's the height? What's the width and length? All those things. Now you actually have a 3D object. You know exactly how it looks because the point cloud and mesh collects the imagery and the XYZ information. So now some customers are kind of coming around on using that as a 3D asset as well. So answering your question, we treat BIM model as a BIM model that it has information content. Then the customers can take it from there wherever they want. As a first step, using this same ReCap 2026, we added some of the Revit tools also, by the way. So if you install ReCap 2026, you will get all this latest scan to mesh, the mesh editor. It also installs some, I don't want to call it Revit plugin. It's a Revit tool, basically, mesh tools. So you can actually take those meshes into Revit, convert that into a BIM model for any purpose you want. So we're trying to open that as wide as possible so any users can leverage their point cloud data.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be immense when this thing really gets going and everybody starts adapting it. It's just going to be crazy what people are going to come up with this. It's so cool. All right, I tell you what, let's get a break in for today's sponsor. And when we get back, I want to get into more of the new features in ReCap 2026 that Ramesh thinks are cool. All right, so stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hey everybody, this is Jim and Rocco with ZenTech Consultants, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the training options that we have available here for you guys at ZenTech Consultants. We offer public training classes as well as private custom courses for all of your software and design needs. So, Rocco, why don't you tell the folks what kind of training we offer and how do they reach out to us to get it going for them?
Yeah, Jim, we cover everything from Bluebeam to Autodesk to Microsoft to BricsCAD to civil site design training and beginner through to advanced level topics. Like you said, both public and private courses. If you got a group and want to run a class specifically for your team, we can help you. So just feel free to hit our website. We're at zentechconsultants.net. That's ZENTEK, or you can give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
There you go, ZenTech Consultants for all of your technology training need. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking with Ramesh Sridharan of Autodesk about the recent drop of the ReCap Pro 2026. And in this half of the show, I want to talk about what new tools and features, right, this release has, and maybe a bit about what Ramesh is working on for the next update. So Ramesh, what other key features, I guess, are included in ReCap Pro 2026 that people should be looking for?
Absolutely. There are a lot of them, actually. The team did a fantastic job pulling a lot of customer-facing features. And I'll put them in three buckets. One is the segmented mesh. We talked about it last half. You can create a local segmented mesh. That has been a lot of requests from customers. The mesh editor, you can actually do the segmentation, classification, cleanup of mesh right in the ReCap Pro. Fantastic thing. You don't have to jump between the products. That is already there. Then I also dropped the Revit plugin or Revit tools that comes with the ReCap 2026 that helps you convert those segmented mesh into a BIM model or a design verification or whatever. You can do a lot of stuff. So that's on one bucket called segmented mesh. The second bucket is, I used to call it scan to design. I still do, extracting the design features for the civil infrastructure detail design from ACC Viewer, from the point clouds, obviously. This year, we got two fantastic features on it. One is called adaptive line extraction. So you can actually extract those lines even last year. But this year, when the road curves, obviously road curves, right? Not every road is in Montana.
Fair enough. I don't think Montana is a real place anyway. It's too square. Everything's too flat and too square. It's made up.
It's a very big road. I love those roads though, but it's just straight. Yeah. So the practical roads has a lot of curves in it. So when you're extracting, user have to stop and pause and continue. It was kind of like a hindrance to the workflow, consumes a lot of time. So this adaptive linear extraction kind of goes with the data, adds extra vertices where needed, and users always in the driver's seat correct the check and confirm the quality check while extracting. So you get the best of both worlds with as much minimum manual effort as possible. So it does this fantastic job. That came out this release in the ReCap Viewer. The other one is the enhancement to the asset extraction. So in the past one, when you click on the ACC Viewer, it shows you a small zoomed in view. It does a good job, but then a lot of customers said, hey, can we add more views? Like one is a top view, one is a side view, like how I'm used to CAD environment, but I would like to do this right in the cloud because you guys are offering it. So we thought it's a great idea, so we implemented it. So now you can see the top view, the side view, everything that's needed for you to accurately extract the assets and the lines and what you want and take it to detailed design. Fantastic tools. A lot of customers love it. We keep getting some emails on those aspects. So that's my second bucket on feature extraction, scan to design enhancements. The third and last one is the cloud-based visualization tool. One is, we call it as scan groups. The customers now can group those scans because when you collect, especially on the buildings and the industry environment, they collect a lot of scans. And let's say Rocco collected a bunch of scans and I'm supposed to work on a specific area. instead of trying to tell me where exactly it is with a bunch of emails and the pictures, he can just put it as a scan group. Let's just say for this example, call it as a Ramesh area. And all I have to do is go to Cloud Viewer, click on that, zoom into that, start working on it. Much easier. But that's a very simple example, but the customers are using it as a work areas, floor by floor, face by face, a lot of stuff you can do with it. So the scan groups is latest in the ReCap viewer. Same with the real view enhancements. And nowadays, not just point clouds, even the images you collect with those point clouds are becoming bigger. 20 MB, 30 MB files. 20 MB, 30 MB by itself is not a big deal when we deal with gigabytes of point cloud data. But when you're trying to show them on the cloud through the cloud, it takes a couple of seconds it used to take a couple of seconds to view them, but not anymore. In this release, it instantaneously appears, it buffers in the back end, but from the customer point of view, you smoothly walk from one area to another and all those things. So those, I would say, the three main buckets. One tad bit, I'll just attach one, is the ReCap photo. Now it's called merged into ReCap Pro. Previously, it's a two different executable. It kind of causes a little bit of a, not a confusion, a little bit of a thing where customer don't know where to find it. We got some good feedback. Now we merged them together. So as a part of ReCap Pro, ReCap photo gets installed. You click it, you can launch the photo service right from ReCap Pro, make the workflow smooth and easy. Yeah. So those are main buckets, I would say, Jim.
Nice. Yeah, and I like that you merge everything in. I always blame marketing people for that. They come up with these great ideas for naming and splitting things, and then you're just thinking, which one am I supposed to use? They say the same thing. Which is what? Always makes me crazy. So, all right. I tell you what, I always like to kind of get a peek under the hood, right? To see where Ramesh is leading his team for the next update and possibly even a sneak preview into next year's release. Part of it is my own inner geek curiosity, but I really do think it's important for our listeners, right? So that they can start kind of researching and planning for where these changes in the industry standards are likely to take them. So Ramesh, what can users look forward to in upcoming releases?
Absolutely. I think the audience who are following our ReCap Pro and following this podcast, they kind of now get the sense on the ReCap. We always try to put the initial framework, beginning to end workflow. Then we optimize it, enhance it, make that workflow easier and easier so that customers have something to work with. It gets better and better with every dot release, for example. That's what we did on the feature extraction 2 years back, at the Cloud Viewer 2 years back as well. Same approach. So now you have end-to-end scan to design, end-to-end scan to BIM using segmented mesh workflow. So one of the aspects we are looking into developing moving forward is automation piece. So now the segmented mesh, when you create a local scan to mesh, or even the cloud one, we are also updating to the same engine. So it does a lot of automation behind the screen. So when it comes to your mesh editor, ideally we are hoping that you don't have to spend too much time on editing, just more on verifying if everything is fine, maybe a little bit of a cleanup if you're not happy with it, but kind of get on with this information content and use it for your clash detection or take it to Revit and do stuff with it. That kind of automation, either using AI ML or the geometry or the reinforced or continuous learning from the users. So one way or the other, we are trying to make those things automated and simple workflows. That's one thing our team really focuses, especially our user experience team and everyone, how to make these workflows as simple and easy for users to get on with it, get their job done. Instead of clicking 5 buttons, how about you can do 1 or 2 buttons to get your job done? So those aspects of the automation and smoothing the whole workflow so that working through point clouds should be a breeze. It should not be a big chore. The one other aspect is, of course, in addition to a lot of ReCap Pro, the desktop functionalities and the cloud functionalities, the one other aspect the team will be looking into is downstream application of those segmented meshes. You can take it today with the model coordination, clash detection, for example. You can take it to Navisworks and do some stuff with it today, but make it easier so you can take it to Revit or the Inventor or the AutoCAD, Tandem, Twinmotion, Maya or 3D Studio Max. Anywhere you want to, the point cloud plays a big role in it, how to get those information into it. This also includes Civil 3D, for example, how to do BIM for infrastructure, work with the customers to enhance that part. So we really, in our mind, we are trying to make this point cloud experience to the next level with the segmented mesh workflow. That's our target for upcoming and the next year or so release timeline.
Nice. So nothing big. Just a little bit of work there for you.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a touch. So, look, I think, one of the things that Ramesh and the whole infrastructure group really over at Autodesk do really well is like he was saying, they incorporate user requests and needs into their development process. I genuinely like that they don't believe that they have all the answers for everybody out there. Input from the end user is vital to the success of any software. And I think, Ramesh and his team are always great about listening and responding to those users. So Ramesh, how can users connect with the ReCap team or access more information about this product?
Sure. First of all, I never said I don't have any answers. I have a lot of answers. May not be right ones, but I have some answers.
Right is, yeah, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Honestly, you're right. It's always, I like this quote. Somebody said it's always easy when you're not the one doing it, right? So similarly, our users are the one working hands-on. From outside, we can always see that, well, that's so simple. Use this tool, you could do it. But kind of walking in user shoes, understanding what they go through, that's what makes it more interesting. That's what we can understand their pain points. Honestly speaking, everything I said today on the features we released and we are planning to release in the future, it's all from understanding the users, the core pain points, and how to address that. So we try to replicate what they are doing as much as we even try hands-on, try to do what they are doing, working closely with them and providing them the right tools. So that's what ReCap, in general, Autodesk infrastructure, especially ReCap really dedicated to do. The customers can reach out variety of means. They can directly email us. I think a lot of customers do. We have a one-on-one relationship with them. They can send us. There are ReCap forums available. The idea station, fantastic place. Please put their ideas. We take them very seriously. We also have bi-weekly sprint reviews. If they can sign up to our beta portal through feedback.autodesk.com, they can directly be involved with our development team's efforts, get to know what the latest we're working on, provide the feedback so we can build the right thing in the right way. So yeah, that's one, and the beta portal, and we are very active in the LinkedIn reality capture group as well. So that's another way of doing it. And listen to this podcast regularly so that they can get that information and reach out to us too through LinkedIn. Yep.
Nice. Hey, even gave us a plug. You're the man, Ramesh. So, Rocco, what do clients have to say kind of about the Autodesk's attention to user requests and needs? I mean, I know, once upon a time, Autodesk did not always get great marks in that vein. How about today?
Yeah, I think there's been a big shift. I mean, look, it's like everything else. You can't possibly make everybody in the world happy, but the fact that Autodesk has avenues for folks to give feedback and ideas and to see that a lot of those ideas are evolve into new features is big. And so I'm happy to hear that people are happier with Autodesk products in general, and that they're more current with Autodesk software, because there were times where you'd have conversations with people and they'd be 3-4 plus years back, and it's like, oh, why am I going to upgrade? It's a big headache. And you have a lot of reasons to be current now, especially the workflow integrations from product to product that Ramesh has been talking about.
Nice. All right. Okay. So, as poor Ramesh knows, having been on this show like a gajillion times, I always close out by giving the guest a chance to tell us something that I didn't think to ask about, or that they just think is important for our listeners to hear. So, Ramesh, the floor is yours, sir. What else should everybody know about ReCap World today?
Sure. Thanks, Jim. What else the folks should know ReCap World today? Well, one thing I would say, I say this to our customers too, they're not alone, not anymore. They can consider the Autodesk Reality Solutions team as their own personal ReCap team. Reach out to us for any questions, pain points, challenges, ideas. You don't have to know how to solve the problem, obviously. Just define the problem to us. We will find a way to find a solution one way or the other and get you the workflows. Exactly what we've been delivering for the last couple of years and what we plan to do as well. So yeah, I would just say, don't think of reality capture as a niche anymore. Any of the audience listening today, I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast too. A lot of people stay away from the point clouds because of past distaste in the point clouds, large data handling, crashing of software, rebooting the machine. A lot of things happened in the past, but the technology came a long way. So did the ReCap Pro product as well. So start thinking reality capture as a foundational technology. Whether you're designing infrastructure, or retrofitting an hospital, or managing industrial sites, having an accurate digital twin of existing conditions saves time, cost, and rework. ReCap Pro 2026 is not just a viewer, it's a launch pad for digital transformation. So now's the time to lean into it. Please reach out to us.
Nice. There you go. And I agree with that. I mean, it's look, I look at it like this, folks, right? Once upon a time, driving in a car was considered really dangerous, right? They broke down, they caught fire, you got in accidents, you got thrown out and killed on the road. It took years, but it got to a point where it just becomes a vital mainstay of society. And I think that's what you're seeing with ReCap. There was a time when it was, as Ramesh said, a niche market where you really had to know what you were doing and you really had to go deep into the data structures and understand a lot of back end stuff. And man, the work they have put in and the changes that are coming are just incredible. I mean, everything we talked about here today, I think it affects everybody. This is how the entire design and construction world is going to be in the next 5 years. So it's something you got to jump on that bandwagon and get it. They finally built in the seat belts and airbags. So we're all set to go with ReCap, thanks to Ramesh.
And you can also fly in the cloud now with this car. So yeah.
There you go. All right, folks. With that, we are going to bounce out of here. But I want to thank Ramesh one more time for being here yet again and taking all the time to reschedule with us 100 times. It's always a pleasure to have you on, Ramesh. Appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, man. 101 times the charm.
There you go. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. And
Thanks,
we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.